Well, I may have scrubbed out, but my dad decided to show off what Stun can do in 2025. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it is your host with the most, Avery LR32 here, and I want y'all to destroy the ever-living boo-boo brown stain off of that stun subscribe button, or maybe y'all should just stun that like and subscribe button as we climb even higher the 1500 ladder. If y'all didn't see my community post, TLDR, the regional was really rough for me. I went 0 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses before I ended up just dropping and saying, screw this, and I went and sold my deck and made about $400. But my dad, on the other hand, really killed it. There was a particular misplay, and we'll talk about that. But I got the notes from him because he doesn't like being on camera and stuff. And as y'all know, he played Mystic Mine for like 4 years or however long it was legal. He doesn't like playing the meta. He feels like the game's getting away from him. So he plays this stuff to piss people off, right? And I know a lot of y'all love that because I've done, burn deck profiles and things, Mystic Mine, Chain and alike in the past. And they always tend to blow up, which is funny because I hate these kinds of decks, but most players do. So we're going to get into all that. But TLDR, I scrubbed out of the regional. Our homie Valley D scrubbed out of the regional. My dad ended up choking in the last round, but I still wanted to show off his profile for the concept for people that want to play this and mess around with it and piss off their friends at locals and all that, or even at a regional or a YCS. I think that is at least worth showing. It was, what was this here? 378 players, top 48 cutoff. It was kind of a BS regional because they actually charged $10 to park. Allegedly, it was through a third-party company, even though on their website for this particular convention center, they say that they don't charge to park. The judges and staff were great overall. It took a while to get going, which was really unlike them because normally they're pretty quick at getting things started. So it was definitely an off day for all things considered. But I may make a separate video talking about that. It was a really annoying regional, I think is the way that I'm going to put it without just going off the deep end and ranting. But the main thing here is, of course, the deck profile. So let's just get into my dad's rounds here. Round 1, he played against Malice and he won, 1-0. Round 2, he played against Blue Eyes and he lost. He was 1-1. Round 3, there was also a lot of scrubby rogue players at this regional. Like, I talked about my community post, how I played against a bunch of dog shit, like, rogue players and stuff. Like, it was rough. But of all things, my dad played against frogs, like, pure frogs. Like, swap frog and totally awesome and shit. Like, there was so much rogue at this regional. It was so toxic. So he beat the frog player, so he was 2-1. Round 4, he played against Blue Eyes. And he won. He was 3-1. He ended up winning by 100 life points in time. My dad had 3,700 and his opponent had 3,600. That's just crazy. Round 5, he played against Malice and won. He's 4-1. Round 6, of all things, he lost to Runic Stun. So now he's 4-2, which, again, a bunch of rogue at this regional, which is just insane. Round 7, he played against Rizal. He won, so now he's 5-2. Sorry, y'all, my dad scared the fuck out of me walking into my room. I don't even know what place I just left off on, but he did tell me, which is why he came into the fucking room, is because the lowest table he got to was 13. That's where he ended up losing to, I think it was Runic. He ended up at table 19 and got his 3rd loss. He ended off at table 42, and then that's where he lost, finishing out 5-4. But like I said, round 6, he played against Runic Stun, 4-2. Round 7, Rizal, he was 5-2. In round 7, he ended up beating that Rizal player, like I just said. But the opponent ended up exotoning his board for 10 cards, and he still lost, which was insane. Round 8, he lost to Rizal. He was 5-3. That's the match that he had used Pot of Duality, and he revealed Dark Ruler no more. Had he grabbed the Dark Ruler, he could have negated the detonator and the duo drive, and then summon Dyna and activated Moon Mirror Shield to equip it, and then run over the detonator. His opponent did have 2 face downs and had a few cards in hand with a Rizal cross up, so maybe he could have hit something to help him win, but that would have put him in a very difficult situation if he didn't have an Imprimer or Droplets. Round 9, he ended up losing to Azamina. He just bricked 2 games in a row. There was really nothing that he could do. So with all of that out of the way, let's just dive on in to this deck list. Again, shout out to Silver Spurs Arena in Kissimmee, Florida for charging everybody $10 for fucking parking. It was so toxic. So starting off, it's a typical stun deck. We're playing 3 copies of Fossil Dyna. My dad won a lot of his die rolls, and there was even a few where he went second and still won. Fossil Dyna is amazing. We're not playing 7 Tachyon because we weren't able to get our hands on a playset for him to use, but 7 Tachyon actually goes really crazy in stun because you can 7 Tachyon and then reveal a fucking giant hand and get Fossil Dyna or the stone barrier statue, earth barrier statue to your hand. So you need to be playing 3 Fossil Dyna plus 2 Jouging's Band, so it's like, why wouldn't you play it? Next up, 3 Inspector Border. This was hit or miss for him during the weekend because it's like, you know, if you're going up against Rizal, if they're special summoning from the hand, that doesn't activate an effect. So they just establish 2 level 4s and make an Exciton and then blow away the board. So this was really like hit or miss for him this weekend. This is definitely something that I could see him cutting, which I think you should cut too. I just don't think it's all that great. Next up, we're playing 2 copies of the Earth Barrier statue and then 1 copy of the Water statue. He was playing different versions. I told him to max out on Earth because if you play against Mermel, then the Water statue is useless. Shark, Rizal, if they start off with Shark combo, they can still establish a Bahamut and a Toad. But Earth Rizal, there's nothing Earth in the meta right now. And then Water, if you're not playing against Mermel, is really good. You can always side this out if you play against Mermel, which he didn't see any of, so it was fine. That's it for the monsters. We're not playing the Dogmatica cards because the Dogmatica cards are dog shit. You'd rather see a card that shuts off special summoning. People all day were trying to tell him, play the Dogmatica engine. The Dogmatica engine is dog shit. Maybe he'll come back in with 7 Tachyon, but I don't see my dad wanting to do that. 2 copies of the Gold Goganda. So my dad had to appeal to the head judge on this card because no one knows how this shit works. So the way that this card works, it's essentially like a Hugin or like a Detonator when it protects Exceeds, where even if D-Fisher is up or if you're under Dimensional Shifter, you can still dump, or at least attempt to dump, a Fallen Albaz material fusion monster from your extra deck to grave. It says it has to go to grave because you send to grave instead, but even if you're under like D-Fisher or Macro Shifter, whatever, you can still dump. It'll just be banished instead, and then the monsters still get, or the card still gets protected. So yeah, he had a couple judge calls on this. Specifically against the Runic player, had to appeal to the head judge because the judge he first called didn't know how this card worked. The head judge overruled the other judge, and it was a good time all around. This card's absolutely busted, and it's also a soft once per turn. So like if you have 3 of these up, the opponent could use like say Heavy Storm, MST, and like something else, and you can protect like 3 times. So this card is really, really good. This card's getting slept on. And then we're also playing 2 copies of Moon Mirror Shield. Make your attack equal to whatever their highest stat is between attack or defense plus 100. So if they have 1,000 attack and 2,000 defense, then your monster would become 2,100 because you add the 100 to the 2,000. And that's during the, I believe it's during the damage step. So like it always adjusts to be higher. So like even if you like, I don't know, try and raise your monster's attack in the damage step, say like a Rush Recklessly, as stupid as that example sounds, Moon Mirror Shield will still be 100 higher. It's just a crazy card. Next up, Power of the Guardians. So the more counters this thing gets, your monster gets 500 attack for each counter, and then you can remove a counter if it would be destroyed. This card was really, really good. He said it really helped him out in a good number of games. Yeah, there's not much to really say. I mean, this deck really just pilots itself. 1 Prosperity, 2 Duality, and 1 Extrav. We are also playing, I might as well just show them now, 2 copies of Time Tiering. So you don't want to go too hard with the pots because they can be a little bit redundant. If I were to play this deck, I would definitely kind of swap up these ratios just to play 3/7 Tachyon because you're playing 3 more copies of monsters while still keeping the count low so that you can possibly dig for like different spells or stun style traps. But this ratio was fine. He had no issues with it at all. Time Tiering, once you get to turn 2 and start drawing 2 cards, is busted. Pot of Greed every turn is nice, especially in a stun deck. And then we're playing this stupid ass card, Clockwork Knight. So people forgot about this card all day, according to him. So what this does is that it changes all monsters on the field to machines. So all your machines gain 500 attack, and all the opponents lose 500 attack. So you can do cute things with this, where like if you have say like King Tiger Wanghu up, it becomes a machine and gains 500 attack, and then the opponent tries to summon a monster, it loses 500 attack, and King Tiger Wanghu kills it. You shouldn't be doing that in Yu-Gi-Oh unless you're playing in Master Shits, because that's where it only will function for real. Because in the real game, that's just trash. trash. But being able to combine this with Tikaboo, you basically have a rivalry plus Tikaboo set up. You can go Clockwork Knight, activate Tikaboo, and then if the opponent is a face-up monster, they can't summon anything else unless it's a machine out of their hand. Same thing with like Zombie World and Rivalry of Warlords. It's a really good lockdown card. And then of course you can play the Clockwork Knight Link to search this, but we're not doing that because we play a bunch of pot cards. My dad would never link summon. The day he link summons is when hell freezes over. 2 Necro Valley. Yes, he has the updated card text on Neuron. He's got the screenshot. But this card, he said, really helped him a decent amount in the Runic matchup because obviously they can't return their cards into the deck. This really hurts Rizal if they want to try and put their Rizal monsters to the bottom of the deck with Cross. Obviously, it shuts down the entire Fiendsmith engine. I actually didn't think this card would do a lot for him, but he said it really came in clutch. He wouldn't change this for anything. He said players would constantly forget about this card, and they would constantly be trying to get it off the field because it would hinder them so much. So Necro Valley seems to definitely be a card moving forward that you stun players are going to want to play. And then we're playing the 1 of Feather Duster and the 1 of Card of Demise because you need something for going second, and Card of Demise is a good card. For the traps, we're playing 1 Tikaboo to go with the Clockwork Knight because it's good. 1 copy of Storming Mirror Force because my dad's a fucking troll. Let's see, we're playing 1 copy of the Draco Utopian Aura. This is a counter trap. Negates the activation and then destroys the card, basically. Card's really good. Yeah, not much else to say on it. I mean, it's a stun card. If you go first and see it, it's good. Also destroys cards in the same column, I believe. But he said that never came up. It was just meant to, negate cards while you're trying to set up a field. And then we're playing 3 copies of Punishment without the Ecclesia. Again, we just didn't feel like in testing that the Ecclesia and all that was really necessary. You'd rather see a monster that stops special summons, and then, you can set this and then pop 2 cards because you can dump the Elder Entity Ints. And then he was playing 2 copies of Solemn Strike, 3 copies of Solemn J because it's good. And then rounding up the going second cards, we're playing 3 copies of Evenly Match. You need some form of field removal when playing stun. Again, even though he did go 5 and 4, that was just more because of the fact that he just got unlucky in the last round and maybe would have still gotten his invite, although he was at table 42 and it's top 48 cutoff. But again, the concept is here for anyone that wants to mess with it. But you definitely need to be, if you're going to play this deck, you need to be playing Dark Rulers and or Evenlies, something to help you break a board, because if you just build it to go first, you're going to have a really, really bad time. For the extra deck, it's pretty much all bullshit. It's just stuff that you want for like Dogmatica targets. 2 copies of the Garua, 3 copies of Ints. That's your punishment targets. And then the branded stuff, we got the Lubellion, we got the Ashen Dragon, 2 Albion, 3 copies of Mirror Jade, and then, well, this is also a card that you can send with the punishment, the Tri-Brigade Arms Baphilis, and then same thing with the Golden Cloud Malong, but it was primarily just an extra deck full of branded stuff that you can dump when using your Decisive Battle of Troll. And then next up for the side, we're playing another water statue, a fire statue, a dark statue, because my dad is a troll, ladies and gentlemen. We're side decking 3 Shifter. We looked at the top 8 stun build out of Mexico, something like that. That actually wasn't playing Shifter at all. He side decked Shifter because, in his words, and I quote, "Every time I main deck Shifter, I see it when I don't want it." So he would bring it in primarily like for any deck that wasn't named Malice. And he said it performed well enough. He's just not a fan of main decking it. He's also not a fan of main decking Desires for reasons, so do with that info what you will. I'm just busting his balls at this point. And then 1 Raigeki Double Lightning Storm. Again, going second with this deck is you might as well like just admit defeat at that point. Double Dark Ruler because it's good, and my dad should have grabbed it off the Duality. 3 copies of Bribe, going first stuff, and then another Draco Utopian Aura. You can adjust this side deck as you see fit. He said that at one point, I think it was when he was at table 13, he activated a Dark Bribe on his opponent, and like a crowd had gathered around, and they were all like, "Yo, he activated Dark Bribe, that's crazy!" Like, they were just all freaking out. So yeah, he's got a fan base, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, you guys, that's the list. It's stun. I mean, there's not much else to say here. Like, yes, he went 5 and 4. Again, though, I know that y'all like seeing these lists, and I figured I would at least make myself feel good in showing this off to y'all, especially after how dog water I did at the regional. But that's what happens when you play against scrubby rogue players all day, especially because my round 1 opponent hadn't played the game in 2 years and didn't know what my fucking Rise All cards did, but
such is life, I guess.
Guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm definitely ready for a new ban list. I'm going to laugh my ass off if they ban Fossil Dyna, and then my dad's going to be wearing black for probably 2 weeks because he wore black for a week after Mystic Mine was banned. So why not make it 2 weeks with Fossil Dyna? It was also a week with Jowgen. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.